Machamp might be getting banned from Gen 4 OU after over a decade of existing in the tier. Why is this? This might seem completely random. Machamp is not a very good Pokemon in most games. It is a simple mono-fighting type bulky attacker that in the modern day has been completely outclassed by other options. But in Gen 4, this is one of the most controversial and hated Pokemon in the entire format. For a simple reason. Machamp gets the ability No Guard, which means that all moves used by you or your opponent are perfectly accurate. Machamp also gets the move Dynamic Punch, a 100 power fighting type attack with 50 accuracy. It's a very inaccurate attack, but it has a 100% chance to confuse. And obviously with Dynamic Punch and No Guard, this move cannot miss and you have one of the most broken moves ever at your disposal. This move not only hits like an absolute truck, because Machamp has an impressive attack stat. The fact that it always confuses you is incredibly annoying because you can switch into a resistance, like a psychic type, flying type, whatever. And you could still be in a bad spot. You know, in Pokemon, you're supposed to switch into a resistance and be okay. Perhaps even force out what's in front of you. But if you're up against Machamp, they can just high roll you to death sometimes and just absolutely jam Dynamic Punch in things' faces with no regard for anything. If you're not aware of what Confusion does, it's a 50-50 chance to, instead of attacking the opponent or performing any action, you just hit yourself for a certain amount of damage. So 50-50 chance to just not be able to act. It's an incredibly poorly designed mechanic in my opinion. It rarely adds anything fun to the game. It's never enjoyable to get confused, but at least Confusion is usually attached to bad moves like Confuse Ray. Simply applying Confusion on its own is not that strong. You can at least switch out to cure Confusion, but when your 100% confused chance is attached to such a strong and hard-hitting attack that will even chunk through resistances, and you have coverage to hit your switch-ins like Payback to hit ghost types, a perfectly accurate Stone Edge, because all your moves are perfectly accurate, and you even have Bullet Punch as a priority option to finish things off, Machamp is an incredibly annoying thing to deal with. Players sometimes lead with Machamp just to start the game off with as much early game aggression as they can, and there are ways to at least deal with a lead Machamp pretty consistently. My favorite is a simple Lumberry Metagross. Lumberry will cure Confusion, so Lumberry leads tend to be pretty good against Machamp. And also you benefit from their No Guard because your Meteor Mash is also perfectly accurate against them and deals significant damage. But it still never feels great whenever Machamp is forcing out something you have and there's just no great option. Maybe Rotom Ghost is a decent switch in that will usually come in and at least catch them clicking Dynamic Punch, but then you're at risk of getting hit by Payback. They can shrug off one Thunderbolt. They have Lumberry to also shrug off a Will-O-Wisp, so that's an awkward position to be in. There are so many situations where you are literally just hoping to win a coin flip and that's all you can do, which shouldn't be the case in a competitive Pokemon format. And I know that this is a game full of RNG effects everywhere and you can't get rid of all of them, but this one feels particularly egregious. The whole reason this Pokemon is good is because it abuses RNG, and I don't think that's ever a healthy concept. Something shouldn't be viable because it abuses good luck. Now, something I've seen a lot of people say is, well, why are they suspecting Machamp right here and not Jirachi? What about Jirachi? Jirachi has been more of a problem for a longer time in the eyes of many, and it's a fair thing to say. Jirachi abuses Serene Grace for a doubled chance for secondary effects to occur, and the move Iron Head, which has stab damage on it and a 60% flinch chance. It is an incredibly dominant concept that, similarly to Machamp, is abusing RNG to be good. But Jirachi pushes it further because even if Jirachi didn't have Iron Head, it would still be an outstanding Pokemon with incredible set variety, an unbelievable multitude of options, physical, special, utility, healing, etc. Jirachi really has everything going for it in this format, and Iron Head on top of that is like the icing on the cake. Jirachi can also spread paralysis very safely with Body Slam, which has a 60% para chance thanks to Serene Grace, and Para plus Flinch just seriously restrict the chance that your opponent is ever going to act. You can argue there is a bit more counterplay specifically to Iron Head Jirachi than there is to Dynamic Punch Machamp, because if you times 4 resist Iron Head, you are probably going to out-heal the damage being dealt to you with a leftover. Something like a bulky Heatran or a Magnezone with leftovers, or even a Swampert is going to be pretty okay. Jirachi doesn't want to just sit there clicking Iron Head against things that can threaten it. And at least there is a chance that you don't get flinched. You have the 40% chance you don't get flinched. I don't know, they're both stupid. They're definitely both dumb. And I don't know, folks. I think that the thing about Jirachi is that, do you ban the whole Pokemon or you just complex ban Iron Head? And you could say the same about about Machamp? What if you just ban Dynamic Punch from being used on Machamp and then everything's fine? Or ban the ability No Guard from being used alternatively. Then you could still use Guts Machamp. That's true. And honestly, I would be down, but they are kind of allergic to doing that. I mean, the Gen 4 Council was under fire fairly recently for banning Snow Cloak from the format, which on the surface seems like a fine ban. It's an evasion move. It's consistent with the evasion clause to ban evasion effects like Sandveil, Snow Cloak, etc. The problem though is that this meant that Frostlass is now completely illegal, and Frostlass is a genuine option that is actually a good lead that was used not even on Hail Team, so it was getting nothing out of Snow Cloak. You have to specifically run Abomasnow and Frostlass together to abuse the evasion of Snowcloak, and that's a specific team structure that is the uncompetitive part. They prefer simple bans, and it is simpler to just ban the ability instead of banning, Abomasnow plus the guy, but in doing so, we have lost a genuinely good and pretty solid spike setting lead with unique traits, Frostlass. One that I used to quite like using. It's an Ice Ghost type, it's fast, it's got spikes on it, and Destiny Bond Icy Wind. So that's a shame, isn't it? That is just illegal now. I am for simple bans as long as the collateral damage isn't that bad. Like it's something completely irrelevant, like Cacturne in Gen 3. I don't think that they have to, allow Cacturne without an ability, or obviously banning Tar plus Cacturne wouldn't solve that problem because Tar is so commonly on the enemy team, but in the case of Frostlass, Abomasnow is rarely ever on the enemy team. And in the event that you do match up against an Abomasnow and they give you Snowcloak, I think that no one really has a problem with that because it's so rare, right? In this event, the collateral damage is real and impactful for this particular ban. In the case of Machamp though, what do I think? Well, if you ban Dynamic Punch or No Guard on Machamp, I think that it is just a bad Pokemon that no one would really use. Maybe it would see use, but I don't think it really would over other fighting types like Breloom or Lucario or whatever. I don't see Machamp doing anything without Dynamic Punch or No Guard. So the way I view complex bans are like a emergency button, and they should only be used if there's actually a reason to do so, to preserve something that is genuinely valuable for the format. In those events, I think that complex bans should come into play. To use an example, I think that maybe there should have been some complex ban around sleep in Gen 9 instead of outright banning sleep and causing some balanced users of sleep to now be unviable and just be lost from the format. That was an instance where a simple ban led to real collateral damage. I think if you used complex bans for everything, it would get a bit too crazy for sure. You'd have a million exceptions and, every Pokemon is banned for like a specific thing that makes them broken. So what if you just ban that thing every time? And then everything's allowed, but they can't use this thing or that thing, and it would get a bit too crazy. So where am I getting at with this? I'm kind of rambling a bit. For Machamp, simple ban. Suspect Machamp itself, the Pokemon. For Jirachi, perhaps a complex ban is in order, because it's more complicated than that. Because Jirachi clearly has one thing that's broken about it, and then other things that would have a serious impact if they're lost from the format, right? That makes sense to me. Anyway, this stuff does feel like a bit of a Kafka-esque nightmare sometimes, where it's bureaucracy and policy, and I just want to play Pocket Monsters at the end of the day. I don't want to deal with all this, do I? At the end of the day, Smogon are the ones who are giving us Pokemon Showdown to queue up ranked ladder battles. And I may disagree with their policies or whatever, but at the end of the day, I can click a button and queue up a Pokemon game. That's what's most important to me. Whether they decide to ban Exploud and he didn't deserve it, whatever. The heart of this is that I get to play Pokemon online for free on a great product of Pokemon Showdown. And whether you agree with the minutia of maybe they just banned the move or the ability or whatever, at the end of the day, this is addressing a problem that I have with the format. I think you get rid of Machamp, Gen 4 OU is a better metagame. It's that simple. It is that simple for me. Okay, so I am going to be trying to achieve suspect requirements. I'm not that good at Gen 4 these days. I'm a bit washed, but I will give it my all. The requirements are you got to hit 1600 ELO with GXC of 85. Maybe I won't reach it, but I'll give it my best go, and I'm going to be voting ban on this one. And honestly, I think that this is a clear choice. I don't know who likes Machamp. Who thinks the format's better with this? It confuses you when it hits you. It's stupid. The only counterplay is Lumberry, kind of. Not even really, because they're still hitting you for 100 damage. And that only works once as well. Look, I honestly think if you're against the idea of Machamp going from Gen 4, you probably have never played the format in your life. Or you're a user of Machamp who wants to continue abusing it. This is one of the most villainous and nefarious Pokemon in any format I have ever played in my life, and I've wanted it gone for centuries here. Okay, this is my moment. I will never get another shot. There will never be another chance. If this fails, if Machamp does not get banned here, I'm gonna have to deal with getting confused on the Latias switch in for the rest of my years on this earth. And I just don't want that anymore. I want to enjoy my time. There's limited time left for each of our lives, and I don't want to spend it flipping coins. And let me tell you, I have not read any of these posts in this thread. These Smogon posts are poison for the mind. There's someone in this thread, I can guarantee it, there's someone in this thread defending Machamp, saying, no, we need Machamp because it does this and this and this, and without Machamp, what's next? Are we banning Breloom? No. Machamp clicks a move and confuses you, and then you have to flip coins to win the game. This is the truth that I know in my heart to be true. Okay, he gets to have 4 arms. It's not fair. It's not fair to others. I'm putting my fingers in my ears and I'm saying, la la la, I'm not listening. I'm not listening to a single comment defending Machamp. You don't know how long I've hated this guy for. We need to get rid of it, and this is the only time it's ever going to happen. You folks are probably used to me saying in these suspect videos, oh, I can understand both perspectives. Yes, so should they ban it? Well, it's up to the general populace to decide. No, not at this time. Not this time. Ban Machamp. Ban him. Okay, get Rex. Vote ban. I never want to see this thing again. We have a chance here to get rid of him permanently. That's it. I've said my piece, and you know what to do. It's now in your hands, folks. And I drop the microphone, and I hope that you come up to the stand and you make the right decision. Thank you for watching.